Or maybe you're in the market for something younger. She's barely 12. Guaranteed.
Do you know what time it is?
And even though like any maggot piece of shit that I put down, I did it because I love order. Hell, I love it.
Violence. Deep down we all love it, and deep down we all love to watch it.
Back to it.
Humanity has long been captivated by violence, particularly when it takes the form of calculated, ruthless killers. From famous ancient warriors to modern-day true crime documentaries and fictional antiheroes, society's obsession with murderers and brutality persists. And I would describe this fascination as not just merely morbid curiosity or psychopathic eroticism, but rather various complex psychological reasons driven by deeper needs, justice, relief, and the thrill of the forbidden. But first, let's talk about justice.
My name is Dexter Morgan.
One of the most compelling trends in modern media is the popularity of killers who operate under a self-imposed moral code. Characters like Dexter Morgan and Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, resonate with audiences because they embody a warped sense of justice. They kill, but only those they deem deserving. Dexter, who's a blood splatter analyst by day and vigilante by night, exclusively murders other killers and people like pedophiles, while the Punisher brutally exterminates criminals who evade the legal system. These narratives allow viewers to indulge in the fantasy of retributive justice without the moral burden of sympathizing with true evil. Other morally gray killers include Joe Goldberg and Hannibal Lecter, who fall into the category of killers who often stumble into killing bad people, but also kill a lot of good people and do a lot of fucked up shit. The main appeal of such characters lie in their ability to punish the guilty and have the capabilities to do so effectively. In reality, justice is often slow, flawed, or non-existent. Criminals escape punishment as systemic failures leave victims without recourse. Fictional vigilantes offer a cathartic alternative, a world where evil is clearly defined and swiftly eradicated. This black and white morality simplifies complex ethical dilemmas, providing a satisfying narrative where the bad guys always lose, despite you cheering for an arguably bad guy himself. Ordinarily, whether through religion, personal morals, or societal expectations, we all say murder is bad, but
You like taking pictures of little girls, huh?
this dynamic creates a fascinating psychological tension. Audiences know that they should disapprove of these murderers, yet they can't help but cheer when Dexter disposes of a child murderer or when the Punisher guns down a human trafficker. The fantasy isn't just about violence, it's about control and living vicariously through someone else. In a chaotic world where justice feels fake, these characters impose order, acting as judge, jury, and executioner, and they do it stylishly. However, this trope raises important questions. Does glorifying violent protagonists normalize punishment outside the law? There's tons of cops who sport the Punisher logo despite a popular slogan among cops being protect and serve. But anyways, some on the other hand argue that these stories serve as social critiques, highlighting failures in the justice system, while others worry that they desensitize audiences to brutality, making violence seem like an acceptable solution. Regardless, the enduring popularity of these characters suggests that people crave narratives where justice is absolute and served, even if it comes at the hands of a killer. And when justice is served, we get true crime is a media genre that explores real-life criminal cases, often focusing on murder, abduction, rape, and other serious offenses. It spans books, videos, documentaries, podcasts, and television series, offering detailed narratives of crimes, investigations, trials, and even the aftermath of victims and perpetrators. One of the most notable patterns in recent years is that women dominate the true crime fan base. In a world where women are disproportionately targeted by violent crimes such as domestic violence, stalking, and sexual assaults, true crime media becomes more than entertainment. It's a way to study patterns of danger from a safe, controlled environment. By analyzing the behaviors of real-life killers, victims, and survivors, many women engage in a form of cognitive rehearsal or mental conditioning, preparing themselves for the kinds of threats they are statistically more likely to face. But in general, true crime also gives us a lot of practical insight. In this way, the genre becomes both a cautionary manual and a psychological coping mechanism. Although with many online communities, there are a bunch of fucking weirdos. In my opinion, I think it's kind of weird to eat food while you're talking about the brutal rape and murder of somebody, or to have necessarily a favorite murder case. Becoming overly immersed in this genre may have negative psychological and emotional consequences. Constant exposure to it can heighten anxiety, fuel paranoia, and contribute to a distorted perception of reality where everyday situations feel more dangerous than they are. The line between educational vigilance and unhealthy fixations can blur, so it's important to consume true crime mindfully, balancing awareness with self-care, and recognizing when the genre stops feeling informative and starts feeling overwhelming or exploitative.
They are so even on total strikes at the moment.
Some people have suggested that humans have an innate, almost primal need to engage with violence. In modern society where most people are insulated from direct physical threats, violent entertainment provides a controlled environment to explore these deep-seated instincts without the real-world consequences. Combat sports like MMA and boxing exemplify this tension between brutality and order. These sports transform raw physical aggression into a spectacle governed by strict rules, referees, and sportsmanship. The adrenaline rush spectators feel when watching two fighters clash taps into ancient human instincts. The thrill of competition, the drama of dominance, and the catharsis of witnessing conflict resolved in a decisive yet contained manner. There are clear winners and losers, and the violence, while intense, has boundaries. This controlled environment allows audiences to experience the visceral excitement of combat while remaining at a safe psychological distance and not catching a flying knee to the face. Also, there's this phenomenon where the fighters that are seen as sociopaths are the ones that are most hyped. Like, there's this fighter in the MMA community that a lot of people argue is like the best pound for pound fighter, and this is his Wikipedia page.
I hate you. I hate you.
There is nothing you can do to stop me from coming at you round after round with the most malicious techniques I know. You will lose this fight.
In a similar fashion, violent video games and horror films provide another layer of simulated danger. In video games, however, players don't just witness violence, they actively participate in it. One of my favorite games, Hotline Miami, is a game that immerses players in a fast-paced, hyper-violent action game while simultaneously deconstructing the allure of that violence. Players take on the role of a masked hitman who goes around killing mobsters and gangsters. This setup frames the protagonist as kind of an ethical killer, as I mentioned earlier in the video. Yet, as the game progresses, it blurs the lines between justice and psychosis, forcing players to question their own motivations and the thrill they derive from digital violence. But besides that, it also has a pretty kick-ass soundtrack and was inspired by the movie Drive. In contrast to video games, horror films kinda combine the true crime element of psychology along with the video game goriness and violence. It satisfies morbid curiosity, but also allows you to play what if when it comes to danger. I mean, who hasn't watched a horror movie like Terrifier just to see the gore out of curiosity, or watched a horror movie and went, yeah, I would survive this, I would never do any of these things. Overall, the enduring fascination with killers and violence in media is a multifaceted phenomenon rooted in psychology, morality, and human nature. Fictional ethical killers like Dexter and the Punisher offer a fantasy of absolute justice, while things like true crime, video games, and combat sports provide catharsis and a sense of control. All of these forms of entertainment serve as psychological pressure valves, allowing people to channel their darker impulses into socially acceptable formats. Unlike real-world violence, which is chaotic and traumatic, staged violence follows predictable patterns. And while these attractions are not inherently harmful, they require mindful engagement. Society must navigate the fine line between healthy fascination and dangerous obsession, ensuring that our consumption of violent media does not normalize real-world brutality or profit off of it. Ultimately, these stories and spectacles serve as mirrors, reflecting our fears, frustrations, and deepest desires for justice in an unpredictable world. By understanding why we're drawn to darkness, we can engage with these narratives more critically and responsibly. And as always, thank you for watching. The next video will be 30,000 subscribers special. Thank you guys so much, especially if you make it to the end of these videos, because not a lot of people do, and they comment, and I always have to correct them or timestamp that I address their exact point in the video. So thank you so much. Thank you for all the support, and there will definitely be many thanks in the next one. So thank you, and bye. Oh, also, less media analysis, more history stuff coming up. Boom.